Have you ever traveled through time? We do it every day.
Asgardia is a country with a population of more than 1 million people from more than 200 countries on Earth. Asgardia gives everyone equal opportunities, no matter what their earthly status is.
It is possible to create and live in the future right now. Are you ready? Forward progress is the solution to the entire human race. Our mission is to bridge new horizons. In Asgardia, there is no limit to the universal development in the fields of technology, finance, and arts. Asgardia is a new space and digital economy which creates opportunities for the global economy. We deliver innovations. Do you want to get on board with us? We are developing various kinds of digital businesses, attracting them to the Asgardia platform that can be backed by the means of our umbrella, i.e. franchising of the Asgardia brand. We can not only attract investments into space programs from prominent institutional investors, but also affordable amounts from the citizens of Asgardia. We comprise of more than 1 million people.
Asgardia is a chance to realize one's dream. This is a dream-driven space nation. Asgardia is a chance to belong to a community of free-thinking enthusiasts, goal-driven dreamers, and fearless innovators, theorists, and scientists.
We are the first space nation. One humanity, one unity.
Asgardia.
We are creating
the future.
Right, 1 minute till we start. And I think we are live, so thank you everybody for being here. And yeah, thank you for being on time. We are very good at this. They're still driving this long journey. Or maybe you just live in your car. Right, okay, let's start. Hello, everybody. My name's Lembitopic, as you may know. I'm the Chair of Parliament of Asgardia, and my mission today is to go through the meeting with the points from last weekend and the points coming forward. Because we had our digital sitting and we spent 3 days together, as always, I haven't gotten very much new to report, so I'll keep it fairly short. I've actually got a lot of things, 7, but they're all very short, and some of them apply specifically to the chairs of the committees. First of 7, thank you for attending the digital sitting of Parliament. We were quorate, and we had really a very sophisticated conversation. I think we did a really good job of discussing the relevant items, and it was a delight. It was a real joy to run it, actually. It was very good, so thank you for that. Second of 7, we now have an acting foreign minister, Nigel Evans. Lots of very exciting things happening with Nigel Evans. Already there's interest, international interest, and a big thank you to colleagues who have already helped to get involved with various individuals who have access to very senior politicians around the world. That's how we're going to get the results we need. So if you have contacts with governments, especially those from United Nations countries, please do let me know. I'll pass that on to Nigel, because we need to get 2 countries to recognize us two United Nations recognized countries to recognize us to achieve our goal. So that's a very specific request. Thirdly, it's great to have Salvos Moussakitis back in Asgardia and active. He was elected as chair of the Mandate Commission. Just to be clear, that does not mean he's a member of Parliament. He isn't. He's actually quite independent of Parliament. He has to be, because he's making sure that we do our processes correctly. Just to be clear, he hasn't rejoined Parliament. He's helping Parliament do its work. Really important to understand the difference there. So thank you very much for Salvos for coming back in that position. And you will see him occasionally. He, I think, will be going to the Executive Congress. So the next point, third of 7. The committee chairs have a lot of work to do. And I was saying in the previous meeting, I'll ask Peter Morn if he's here to summarize as well in the next about the previous meeting. But each committee chair needs to have delivered something, one big thing, which is noticeable to the world, not just our legislation, but something outside Asgardia, something that we can point to, which is an achievement on the outside. And also need to have a very clear picture of what's going to come next, what's going to happen after October to build Asgardia in terms of the residents numbers and the economy. So it leads me to my next point, 4 of 7. I have work to do. I will share with the committee chairs what the expectation is for the Executive Congress. So I have action step there, which I've asked Aliona and Linda to write down. Those two people will ensure that I send a summary to all the committee chairs about the expectations. I also offer myself on a one-to-one basis to help with logistics, in the sense that you have to get your tickets to get there, but also in terms of the practical need to get those action steps ready, done. Everybody needs to do something by then, because the Executive Congresses are very big. They're a very big deal. They're very important. So to get something done and to prepare something as well. For information, every committee chair gets a chance at the Executive Congress to have a one-to-one session with the head of nation. And that's a valuable opportunity, and we don't want to waste it. 3 more things. We have a plan of action for the next digital sittings. The dates are in September, I think, and November. I think those are the dates. And we continue with legislation, but based on the success of our new systems, we have options. Not everything has to be legislation. We can create protocols that get passed in one sitting and don't need the legislation. And also, we've got a working group, and I'll come to that. That's my second last point. If you've got something you think Asgardia needs to say so, don't worry about protocol. Don't worry about process. We'll find a way to do it. If it's important, we'll find a way to do it. The less legislation we pass, the better, in my opinion. It's very easy to pass legislation. Much more important to get things done. So if you've got an idea, just share it. I'm very happy to see how we can make that happen. This 5-year term is to get results. That's what we're doing, to get results. It really, really matters. And as such, my judgment is, well, as far as I'm concerned, the results will speak for themselves. That's what I'm thinking. So please do feel free to let me have to tell me what you want us to have done. Actually, there are two final points. One is, we still are not celebrating our work enough in the media. I would ask people to really, as one action step for everybody here, just take one story they've already made. They're ready-made, and they're usually in the chat. One story, and just put it to 2 outlets, so any 2 large or small media organizations in your area, and see if we can get some attention. That's all I ask you to do. Nothing more than that. Please do that. That would help us a lot. So please do take these stories out there. And finally, the working group. I am very excited by the working group on the Asgardia Galactic Prime Directive. This is a proposal to work out how we communicate and deal with life which is not from Earth, whether it's microbial, whether it's sentient, whether it's more intelligent than us. Quite a lot of guesswork in that. But the work done so far, all the legislation is brilliant. As I said at the digital sitting, I think this can put us in the center stage on one of the most interesting debates we can have around the world. I haven't done anything on it yet. I'm still following up various things from the digital sitting. But next week, I would hope to talk with Ferda and others about how we make the working group actually function, and who we can get on it. There's quite an interesting discussion about that in the first meeting, which I'll hand over to Peter to talk about in a moment. So that's really great news. It's really exciting. So looking ahead, then the chairs you need to get yourselves organised. You need to get everything fixed. I'll work with you one-to-one to make sure everything's fixed. I hope we get 12 out of 12 attending. I think that would be really great if we can do that. So 12 chairs, with depending on the time, because I've got an 8 o'clock meeting about the some Asgardia work. But assume if we finish fairly quickly, then I'll call Peter and I'll call Sabahat team. And we will try and get the tickets organised. And regarding your work, you need to achieve one thing by October, and you need to have a very clear plan for one other thing that you're going to do as well. And you will be presenting to Head of Nation. I won't be doing it for you. You'll be doing it. I might be there in the room, but you'll be doing that work. So all the committees need to be involved and get that done. That's everything I have. Peter?
Thank you, Lambert. As this was so close on the tail of the digital sitting, it was a relatively short meeting, but there was still a lot of excitement in it. We talked specifically about the Galactic Prime Directive and our working group that we've constituted. There was some uncertainty about exactly what we would do to start the whole process off. But there was a lot of excitement from John Fine, there always is, and we want to see how we could bring in expertise from the outside to help us with this. So I think we could generate a lot of interest in the world with this work, but we've got to make sure that we do the work properly, that we don't look like amateurs, which we aren't, and that we look professional and take it forward. This is at the very time, of course, as we mentioned, when we now have a proper foreign minister in Nigel, and that's going to lift us right up in terms of where we are on everybody's world agenda, and with regard to Asgardia finding its place in that world. But certainly the working group for the Prime Directive is causing a lot of excitement amongst the chairs of committees. And if you are on a committee, which you should be, then raise it with your chair. Don't matter what your committee is, raise it with your chair, and they can bring any ideas to the committee chairs meeting, which is every week, immediately before this meeting. So you're not off the hook because you're not a chair. You can input, and you can help your chairman and help the whole Asgardian movement by coming up with ideas. That's pretty much all we did, Lambert, because it was all very important stuff. But and we got a little bit excited here and there, but it was very good. And we carry these ideas forward, and we must keep the momentum up. That was the general consensus, so that we can press forward with the Prime Directive in the hands of our working group. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Open to everyone. These meetings are normally quite short after the digital sitting, but everyone can comment. After this, I'll come to Ferda in a second. I'll call you, Peter, first, and then you, Sabahat team. Hopefully, Ria as well. We need to get all of these tickets booked. Further.
Yes, sorry, we have a visitor for this week. We talked in the digital sitting. Joseph March is with us for the wishing tooth. He will make a short presentation for us. So after all the speakings in any other business, I like to represent him to you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Looking forward to that. I did notice. That's great news. And we will do that as soon as we finish the other work, which might be now. Anybody else?
If he is ready, we are ready then.
Let's go straight to that now.
Okay,
Over to you, Further. Further, you do the introduction and then on to Joseph.
Please, Joseph March, for the wishing tooth and Asgardia working together. It will be a nice presentation. Thank you.
Yes. Is this like a live stream thing?
Yeah.
It depends because it's okay. So I won't go too far into the pitch deck then. I'll just explain more verbally.
You're most welcome. It is live, and the world is watching.
All right. So we'll just go into just the very beginning. With this being said, Wishing Tooth itself, it starts as an app, as a metaverse, right? It surrounds this part of the story of self-belief, but the value proposition of it is, even though we start as an app, we have an entire digital ecosystem that basically allows for any company in any industry to be onboarded, right? We're targeting local to global brands. So we have a whole built out digital ecosystem. The app that you see presented is really the Superbook. It works through a B2B to C portion. We reach out to businesses, right? We have agents sourced off a commission crowd located in pretty much every country around the world on size caps, right? And with that being said, we even have a partnership potentially with Sales Code. Let's say reach out to their investors and see if they get it funded. But they're able to do anything that's not B2C. So what that really looks like is that the app is essentially there. It's a learning tool. The company Wishing Tooth itself is under it's under TRC Family Entertainment. It's incorporated in Ireland. Board of directors includes like Chris Deering, the ex-Sony president, things like it's Sony Europe. I'm sorry, right? Peter Robinson's the founder. I'm just the CEO executing his vision. But essentially, what we're able to do is we're able to target multiple industries from local onto global brands, right? And then with the app being a learning tool and increasing a child's self-confidence, that gets you the consent of the parents in regards to the child. So there is that. And then Party in a Box, which is our second flagship product, we essentially are able to offer a tradition to families that surrounds the power of self-belief. And essentially a mother and father can pass it down to daughter and child. And it's a child's missing tooth, right? Where that's kind of what it surrounds. And basically they're able to offer that generation to generation. The beauty of the app, the reason why it's 82 pages. So the first 2 pages means that we can tailor it down to the village level. We can pretty much customize it from the characters to the AI voice cloning, like Delphi AI, for example. We can take the characters and voice clone them. That means there's no barriers to entry. And regarding any country in the world, down to a village level, we have the consent of the families. We have a vendor that specializes in business to government partnerships. Sales Code also has that capability, and also which makes it's a force multiplier. That's what it is. And then we also have the vendor that does the business to government partnership, does country to country franchising, which means partnering with key like they obviously reach out to the government, right? They work on how that country as a whole, like different regional economic opportunities, how to address that, things of that nature, right? And then the country to country franchising means that they go and find a master franchisee who in turn reaches, like they basically reach out to like the banking, the energy sector, things of that nature, the key infrastructure of a country. We're not taking over a country. We're not doing that, but we're partnering with them, right? And since Wishing Tooth starts as an app, it ends as a true metaverse. And a true metaverse is comprised of industrial, which would be like Wishing Tooth on a plane, train, bus. So that would be like a partnership with Xfinity. All these brand partnerships that we develop turn into co-venture opportunities, right? Things of that nature, both here in the US and abroad. And by leveraging the B2G, the business to government portion, the country to country franchising, those relationships that basically effectuate a flow down effect within an entire country. And then the fact that we have the agents on pretty much every country in the world. If you look at Commission Crowd, they're pretty much 25,000 plus agents located pretty much everywhere in the world. And they're boots on the ground, essentially. We're able to form public-private partnerships, um, investment vehicles rapidly. We can take what it took 20 years to turn Austin, Texas, here in the United States, from nothing into a startup powerhouse. We can do that on a countrywide scale, right? In a matter of a few to several years by collectively leveraging these resources. So that's essentially how we're able to do that. So that's what the second company, RFT Global, is. Wishing Tooth is Wishing Tooth, right? It contains 6 mega projects within it without actually going, I don't know, it's a public forum, so it's a little different. But any which way, that's kind of how it's done. So the value proposition that is proposed to Asgardia, Sierra Space, I'm sure you guys are already familiar with because I noticed that at one of the prior events, I think in Centennial, Colorado, your booths were right next to each other. It's also my former employer. Like I worked there before it crossed when they had the Dream Chaser spacecraft and then the inflatable space habitat. And the way that it's looking is that they're going to replace the ISS anyways. So, right. So the idea is that since there's Sierra Space, which I'm already familiar with the Osmonds, the type of, the billionaire owners that came back in, Tom Bice, of course, retired. He's from Northrop Grumman. But any which way, by partnering them with you guys, like they would have the actual ability to create you could say the space colony. Sierra, you guys have the digital ecosystem pretty much built out from the crypto. Everything's already been built out. I've had a profile on Asgardia Space for quite some time. What we were able to do is offer you the people and the revenue. Like, we have a whole metaverse system laid up, and then obviously we have the AI that goes behind it, but that's a whole separate project. It starts within Wishing Tooth and then bleeds over past that. What ends the partnership with we're seeking the Saudis because of the Neon project that they have, right? So that's how that's working. But any which way, basically you guys have been at like about 1.1 million, a little bit less than 1 million. You've been like that for like several years. So the goal is like what 150 million is the mandate set by you, by your organization. So we would have the people, the access, we have the revenue, we have the resources to alter economies at scale, right? And we would leverage that for a partnership with you. That's what we'd bring to the table. And that's how we would like to be the default education platform in space, right? We're talking post IPO because these 3 different companies, each larger than the last, they IPO in 2030. So I know the founder was like, well, collectively speaking, they're like 100 billion, but I'm like, you look at the value of the metaverse truly and everything else, it's much more than that. But that's neither here nor there, right? That's just kind of our value proposition without getting into this pitch deck and going through all this, right? There's a lot in here. So I will end up presenting this and probably presenting the other pitch deck. I know it's 103 pages for the second one, but I'll present that more in a private forum, more appropriate time, right? But let me get off of this. So I stopped sharing it. We can kind of get to some of the questions we asked. But that's kind of where we see everything. The money, the resources that you need, because the money originally was to be sourced from what subscription methods. There's only so many residents, right, out of the whole total Asgardia portion. So we're able to funnel money straight into Asgardia space and collectively leverage our resources. Plus the fact that you guys are in multiple countries, and the partnerships that you have align with what we're doing. We would just like to be the default education platform in space. As the long-term post-IPO, where are we going? And that also aligns with the Saudis because they have I've already spoken to one of the people over there, but they have the whole project, was it Vision 2050 or 2025, whatnot, the project Align and all that. So we kind of explained it to our project is Vision 2030 and Vision 2050. So that actually aligned up with the amount of time that it's going to take Sierra Space. It's going to take you guys with Spaceborne United and having that child born in space, right? It's the salami slice and slow method to getting there, and that's what's necessary. But eventually you will get there, and I believe that's inevitable. And then we come behind. We even have like an AI, the AI project we can talk later, but that's a self-contained platform but essentially all those things kind of converge on one another. And that's where we see the long-term vision coming in. I mean, the money is needed, right? The money, with the actual resources, we have the government partnerships, we have the consent of the families all around the world, eventually at the end of the 5 years. We have the partnerships. We're not trying to no, the countries don't like when millions of dollars or more start flowing in and changing their economy without consulting them, right? So that's where the partnerships come in on the B2G and the country to country franchising side. And then plus we have the families. Our intention is pure. We're not pulling a Google on anybody, not doing that kind of thing. So ideally, I think that's where you start seeing everything align, and it makes sense. I mean, that's the reality, right? 150 million. We have the people, the consent. We would definitely form a partnership, and our people become your people, essentially. So that's how that works. And then the money and the resources. And the Saudis are super excited about the idea of going to space, even though it's like further down the line. But they would love the way that they look at it, and they won't deal with Microsoft. That's the UAE, right? They want to be able to actually be at the leading forefront and to stand on their own 2 feet. That's the Saudis' aim of becoming a regional powerhouse in the years to come. They also have the money to do it. I mean, that's a given, right? That's all I got to say. Any questions? Just throw them my way.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to Ferda.
Thank you very much, Joseph. And yes, I know your sayings are good, but we need a business plan, a working group together. We know that Sarah Clark was a wishing tutor, so we will work together with you. First, if you write a business plan for us, we will see your point of view. After that, we will discuss with you together how can we work together, because yes, you are right in the most of the points, but we need to see in the different ideas and areas how can we work together. I see that you are mostly working for child, but we aim for the adult and the other areas for the target. So we will be
Yeah,
discussing a lot. Thank you
I
very
will.
much.
I will say really quickly though, like what I did with the founder, what the founder had originally created was all I did is turn into a working revenue model, and then I expanded it, right? So instead of like a target, the child being, because the child was never truly the target. When it came to Wishing Tooth, that's why it says $1.75 for the app, but the brand value is actually 14, right? It's the family, what makes a community, what makes a neighborhood, and so on and so forth, the city and all. There's a blueprints to how you take a city from scratch and turn it into a vibrant community that people want to go to, all those elements that go together. You would call them like entrepreneur, ecosystem building, and things of that nature, right? So the 6 to 11, I took that and expanded it 6 to 24. So essentially, we're leveraging our collective partnerships with hundreds and thousands of businesses, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds or thousands, collectively speaking, as we onboard them, right? And to basically sponsor a child through to adulthood. So at 24, I know Europe's like a year ahead, but here in the US, at 24, you pretty much have your master's degree. I'm not aware of any company that's actually done that, where they actually will leverage their resources collectively to sponsor a child all the way through to adulthood, and obviously the family, and try to ensure their success. So to your specific question, we are definitely doing that. And then on the businesses as well, those are all obviously co-venture opportunities. So yeah, I will get that drafted up and sent to you. Just kind of we start fleshing it out. Not a problem.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm very interested. I definitely would like to know more. My question is, you've told us, and I did pay attention, I know I'm driving. You have told us more about yourself, but you haven't really touched on what you would want from us.
Well, okay. What we would ultimately love to do is be the default education platform in space. That's where we would like to be. That we would like to see a Wishing Tooth in space. We would like a partnership and be able to actually integrate into your platform as a buy-side integration. So yes, we would have an actual fully functioning metaverse, not just the digital ecosystem that's already built out, but all three components, which is not a single company has actually been able to accomplish the metaverse. I don't think half of them know what it actually is, but it requires industrial, it requires the NVIDIA enterprise meta, and it requires the actual digital. So we would want a buy-side integration, and we would like to be the default partner for children in space. Since you got the Spaceborne United, you want to have a child in space, and obviously a space colony and everything that comes with it. It's all aspirational, but it's inevitable that Asgardia will get there with a child in space. That much is clear. So we would like to be right there. Plus, we have the AI and we have the resources and everything to contribute on a positive note. That alone is invaluable to us. That puts an education platform actually in space. So that's our angle, I guess you could say. And then how that looks from a revenue standpoint, those things will all be fleshed out as we grow, as we go forward. Right? These things take a bit of time.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Sarah? Yeah, we do need to get specific. It's very interesting, though. Ferd always comes with good ideas. John.
Yeah, and this educational platform you're talking about is just for children, right? Or is it cover other areas?
So the app itself, I know like from the agents and what they see, they only see a portion of it. They see the app, they see the families, but they don't see the whole corporate strategy. It's actually more so for us, it's the business integrations and everything else. The AI portion has to do, yes, with the children, but also into adulthood. There's innovation centers in the second pitch deck, which is 103 pages, broken up in like 4 different categories. It should be broken, like separated out. But any which way, there is innovation centers and everything else. So what we're able to do is start. We're focusing on generation alpha, I guess you could say, in that portion, right? And we're trying to leverage that collective knowledge towards innovation and ecosystem building. So that's beyond just the app. The app is just the face of it. Everything else, it'd be kind of different for us to make headway if everybody kind of knew the full scope of what was actually going on here, right? So that app itself is for the children and for the families, I guess the consent. But then the digital ecosystem is all B2B, which is the goal, right? The SaaS service level agreement is no different than NVIDIA and co-opting that in order to onboard them. And then we get into the business government, they got business to government partnership, the B2G to C2C, which is country to country franchising, the fact that we have agents on the ground, the deployment of capital, the creation of innovation centers, and then we leverage that towards multiple things. So, for example, as I explained to another client, when it came to St. Jude cares about children and cancer research. We're able to basically take leverage those resources in multiple countries simultaneously towards these different causes. Because RFT Global has more to do with like addressing waste in the world, right? Reuse, reconstituting, converting into other things. I don't know, plastic bottles turn into like insulation and sleep. We address these global problems, right? In these countries and what their parts are and what their focuses are. We're able to do that. So in a long runabout way, yes, we focus on adults as well, but the children and the app is the first basis that lays down the groundwork that feeds into these other companies or these other companies that we have and what is going on. So we don't share everything, but we will share the first 2 pitch decks with you. There is a third company, and that's a different, entirely different scope, but it'll make a lot more sense when I do that, but it won't be in a public forum, right? All these assets are created through the Unity platform. So they've created all the pitch decks. They created the AI portion of it. There's a number of things, right? And so right now, like for example, we're seeking a partnership with Richard Branson. So we've got an agent over here that is she sits there in Culver City in that area, so she's ready to put that together, right? And so yeah, we'd have to talk about it a little bit later, but yeah, it's a lot more than just simply the kits. That's what the consumer might think, but the reality on the backside, there's a lot more behind it. But some of those are more contentious, especially when you get into like AI, right?
Thank you for that. The KOB?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. So I just wanted to say hello. I definitely like the overall presentation so far. I'm interested in the concept. I'd like to know how you plan on working with the current education team, because I'm sure they have some sort of structure already set up and how they envision they want to sort of manage the education currently. How do you plan on integrating those requirements with your structure?
Okay. So the way that some of what that would look like, since we're entering, technically we're targeting 150 plus. It's a minimum 70, 100 countries, right? 120 if we're aspirational. We're doing very, very well. Um, we're able to basically encapsulate that in a flow down requirement. Even China, we're able to separate that out because it's its own unique situation, right? We would take our requirements and what we have and everything else, and then we would look at what the requirements are for you. We use for us just on certain things. We use like the AS9100 requirements on the aerospace side because we figured that by taking a stricter standard, we're able to create kind of a flow down requirement because we have agents all over the world and we're targeting multiple industries. So for your situation, we would look at what are their privacy requirements, whether it's GDPR, or, space. I mean, probably the EA, we have the EAR, but ESA, things like that, right? We would look at what your requirements are industry wise, what you're looking for, what your mandate is, and we would work within those requirements and see if they align with what we've got. We're really flexible. The beauty of ours is that we're able to adjust it to any country and their requirements. I don't see why Asgardia space would be any different in that nature, right? We're able to accommodate. Plus, we have the metaverse platform. So essentially, Asgardia, what they have would sit on top of it for by-side integration. That shouldn't be a problem, even from. And again, the way that I also explained it to the founder, if there's any serious infrastructure gaps in the metaverse, for example, we're going to say children and hacking of PII. If any of that happens, you'll lose the trust of the parents, and that's pretty much effectively over, right? They'll never trust it again. So it's we make sure that our stuff is about as robust as can be, right? That's why it says military grade security. We're focusing on doing that because it is that serious, especially when children's PII come into play. But yeah, we're gonna take a requirements just like you would any company. Look at their flow down requirements. Look at what you require. Develop the letters of intent, the memorandums of understanding. Go through that process. Make sure that we have all the regulatory approvals if need be. And imagine with the resources you have, it should actually be probably a bit easier than otherwise would be because you guys just have an amazing set of just partnerships with people from all over. Key government people and things of that nature. That's how we would do it. There's nothing that we have that it can't be like we can accommodate your situation. There's no reason why it should be incompatible. Is what I'm saying. But especially based on our business model, which allows us which means we have no barriers to entry in any country. We just have realities on the ground, right? We have an agent that's over in Lahore, Pakistan. He's like, oh, I want to email. I'm like, no, you can't get involved in Bombardier. You can't get involved because ITAR, right? The ITAR requirements on the ground say that's a no-go, right? I mean, I understand that it's exciting to him, but I'm like, that's not happening. So we're able to address those different situations. It shouldn't be any different here, right?
Further.
Thank you for the presentation, Joseph and Joseph March, and thank you for the answering questions. I think we need to work together first to see what we can do in a group. After that, we will make another presentation that what will be coming up to represent you. We need a brainstorming for sure. So after that, maybe we will have a second meeting to represent you what we will be deciding for Asgardia and wishing to together working if we work. We need to discuss this furthermore in a working group firstly. After that, we will answer all the questions. This was only a good idea to represent to Asgardia, but we need to discuss a lot inside. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, these processes take a while, anyways, for the co-venture and everything. So it's nothing new.
Two more comments. Kirby again, then finally Ross. Kirby.
Yes, I definitely do. I definitely do agree with Ferda. Getting a working group together, some people from the different teams who have those requirements, especially when we start utilizing your platform, or if when we do get to that point, it becomes sort of a resource and an equity requirement. Sending someone from our team to see how that fleshes out into our requirements, reviewing those financials as well, and reviewing how the system is incorporated with the education is definitely something that we need to put together before we get to that sort of conclusion. So yes, I second Ferdinand's motion. Yes.
Thank you. Very constructive and helpful. Ross.
Hello, Joseph. I'm going to be honest, I don't really understand what this is. Wishing Tooth is, as I understand, an educational platform. Is that correct? I just want to have a sort of a two-way conversation about this.
Yes, Wishing Tooth. I might show the second picture just really quick to kind of give you a
Yeah,
scope of what's
I'm just checking out the website now. Right, I can see it's an
Yeah.
interactive storybook. That's great. I get that. So what is the next part? Like, so we have this interactive storybook. We can have kids use this and they can learn and so on and so on. But you've also said metaverse a lot. You've also said AI a lot.
Yes.
What are these
So
components? Like, tell me more about these. Like,
so Wishing Tooth. Okay. So Wishing Tooth itself, the app is like with the first part that you see. So I'm like share this again. I mean, I know it's a public forum, but basically, there's three different companies. Wishing Tooth itself, if you look in the pitch deck, it's 68 pages long. So it shows the app in the very beginning, and then it goes down the list. It shows 6 mega projects. So we have a movie targeting, again, we call it Taylor Swift, right? So we have 6 different projects. One of those is an AI project. And the AI project, we have to be different. We'll sign an NDA and a non-circumvent and get it to that.
right,
But
okay, I see. So what you're telling me is that a lot of the actual meat of what
yeah.
I'm going to be interested in beyond Wishing Tooth itself
Mhm.
is actually kind of protected information at the moment.
There's a reason I can only scroll down because it's a public YouTube forum.
I
In a
understand.
private one,
Okay.
I'll go through. Yeah. Like if you go through it, it'll show you like Wishing Tooth Celebration. It'll show you like a 26-part TV series. It'll show you multi. Yeah, there's a number of things in there. And then when you get into like RT Global and the AI multiverse marketplace and things of that nature, like there's a lot more than that.
Right.
And
So
we'll
you're
get into
talking
that.
about a kind of a whole infrastructure and
Oh yeah.
ecosystem that okay, I get you. Okay.
Yeah, because
In that
what
case,
happens? What like I kind of give it a quick one recap. What happens is that since we have agents all over the world, that's the first part. We have the agents. The app, what it does is you get the consent of the families. That's essentially what that is. A learning tool for the children. Party in a Box essentially is a like a yeah, it's a tradition offered to families in which they're able to coalesce around and pass generation to generation. That knocks it out the way. The digital ecosystem actually the Wishing Tooth app and everything else actually populates and feeds into that Wishing Tooth celebration network and into the digital ecosystem, which allows for brand company onboarding from global on down to local, right? Then there's certain key partnerships, things of that nature that would create a large flow down effect. At the end of Wishing Tooth, yes, the AI project starts within Wishing Tooth itself, but actually carries over into the second company. But what
right.
that
So
actually
this is sort
does
of the McDonald's principle. Get them when they're young with the Happy Meals, is it? You know?
yes and no. It's basically the app is just the very front face. What really happens is that we're effectuating a flow down effect from the bottom on up to build a true metaverse from the bottom on up, a very wide lateral approach, in penetration. And to do that requires the company on board. The company's being onboarded. That's really our target. The app itself gets the consent of the families, which is where the brand value to those companies are, right? A low cost customer acquisition tool and how they effectuate that is a bit different. But then for us, it's the companies that we onboard from global on down to local level that creates that infrastructure. And then out of that comes these co-venture partnerships. And then at the end of Wishing Tooth, 6 major mega projects aside and all of that good stuff, right? AI movies, etc. But what that happens is that we take the business to government partnerships in multiple countries. We take the country to country franchising portion, the fact that we have partnerships with key infrastructure within multiple countries, whether it's Europe, Asia, wherever. And then we have the consent of the people on the ground. They already know who we are, right? We leverage all 4 of those. So if you're familiar with the Cartesian cycle, the way that they kind of explain energy, that's what we're doing, able to alter
I'm
economies
not
at
familiar with
scale.
that, Joseph,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's exactly what we're doing. We're altering economies at scale. by leveraging all four key components. We're not taking over a country, but a metaverse is a partnership of all these companies and in these countries and the key resources within there to effectuate that. What is these
So do you see
puts
the
us on the level of
companies and
IMF? Huh?
do you see the companies and countries
Mhm.
being being the kind of bodies that make up that metaverse? Is that what you're saying? Is that how it's going to be
Absolutely.
expanded out? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, basically that's what we're doing. That's why we're targeting 100 plus countries overall over the course of 5 years. And then we have the digital platform gets the brands to be onboarded. We have the consent of the people. We obviously have agents on the ground in multiple countries through Commission Crowd. And we
Yeah,
leverage
I
those
don't
partnerships.
know what those agents are doing. Like, are the agents on the
They're sales
ground?
agents. Commission Crowd is for
Okay,
B2B
got
sales
you.
reps. That's what we're doing. But since they know they know that like no, it's different because you can't take it. I mean, you can take an American, but I wouldn't expect to take an American and throw him somewhere else and understand the nuances and the protocol and etiquette of that country, the decorum, right? They don't even know
Yeah,
the meeting's already over. So it's easier to use the people that understand it, that live on the ground, that care about the community, and then give them the proper capital and the resources. And then we're
absolutely.
not lobbying these people, but we obviously will have the consent of the political structure and everything else to actually effectuate these conversations. That's what RFT Global ultimately is, aside from the innovation centers and whatnot. That
Hmm.
it basically puts us on the level of the World Bank. So I mean, you only got three options really. You got like China, where basically they give us all your resources and we throw oodles of money at you. You got the stuck between, the Cold War narrative, which is called that, right? And then you got the World Bank. So we're able to focus on these actual issues, and that's what most of RFT Global actually involves, as addressing things of that nature, right? We're just leveraging our platform and our collective resources to alter economies. And that, and again, that all hinges on partnerships and them understanding that we're not a Google, we're not doing that. We want to actually help, and that's how we're able to effectuate that. And then Asgardia Space is wishing to like to be the default education platform in space, and we would like to be able to. We have the people ultimately, right, and that gets you to the 150. So you'll be able to blow right past that
Yeah,
amount of
no, I mean
consumers that
that
we have.
part is obviously very interesting to us.
Yeah.
I'm sure that,
Hmm.
default education provider in space. That's a message that I
Hmm.
think just
That's
instantly we kind of get that one. But
yep.
yeah, I think for the rest of it, I would definitely love to see
Yeah.
those pitch decks and have a little deeper
Yeah.
conversation. But
Yeah. Definitely.
I totally get where you're going now, Joseph.
I
Thank you very
mean,
much
we
for that.
we presented the second pitch deck to the initial person in Saudi, and they're like, you told the founder, like, hey, we got to break that up. That's how comprehensive it was. It needed to be broken down in like four
What
different
you
pitch
need to
decks.
do, Joseph, with the second pitch deck is to get the AI movie on the go and do us a movie of it, you know?
Yeah,
We have
definitely. When I show you both of those, then things will make sense. I didn't want to like take like 2.5 hours. It is very
that
comprehensive, but I've
that's
gotten pretty good
completely
at getting it
understandable.
down to the bare bones without, boring everybody to tears.
No,
Right.
you've got a good energy, so I don't think we'll be bored. But no,
Okay.
that's good. Thank you very much for that. It's very helpful, and I will look forward to digging into the details at an appropriate time. Thank you, Joseph.
I'm
All
sure
right. Thank you so
Joseph is
much.
very grateful that, that you've become so active again, Ross. That's great, though. I'm kidding. It's very good, Ross. I'm going to call you later, by the way, as well. I've
Yeah,
got a
sure thing.
meeting at 8, but afterwards, just try and sort out your flights. Thank you, everybody. Anything else? Thanks, Joseph. Fascinating. Last word to you, Ferda, if there's anything you want to add before you finish.
I like to thank to Joseph Marsh. Thank you for wishing to interest in Asgardia, and Asgardia will take care of the interest and will get interested in wishing tooth as well. We will work together, but I don't know the result yet, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ferda will liaise with you, Joseph, and I'll be guided by Ferda. And that's just great. Ferda's one of the great live wires, one of the great fireworks that brings great results for Asgardia. Joseph, thank you. Hope you've enjoyed that, and we certainly have. You're muted, but I can see you said thank you. That's fine. Thank you, everybody. Any other business? I've already covered mine, which is all the committee chairs will receive a document. I will need to contact about what's needed for the Executive Congress. I'll also call Peter. I can get Peter sorted out now. Then I have a meeting about international matters, I think. Then I can speak to you, Sabahat team, about your flights. And Ross, I'll call you later as well. Ria, I'll try and get you as well. I'm just trying to get everything organized as soon as possible for the Executive Congress. And Ricky, I really hope you can make it. I'm going to keep putting you under pressure. I know you said September. It would just be great if you can be there. Okay, thanks everybody. Very good meeting. We finished there, and Peter, I'm going to call you right away, and then I've got to have a meeting. So, Peter, you now, then about team in about 40 minutes, and that's going to be great. And then also Ross after that. Have a good evening, and we got to actually 38 today, so half 38 is 19. When we get to 18, I'll shut it down. Have a good day. We can stop the broadcast, and I'll speak to the chairs in the course of the week.